Will his evaluator, Kathy Denton, please read his objectives?
Yes, ma'am. I should have been ready for this, but I was looking at the camera. His objectives are to select a speech topic and determine its general and specific purposes, organize the speech in a manner that best achieves those purposes, ensure the beginning, body, and conclusion reinforce the purpose, project sincerity and conviction, and control any nervousness he may feel, and strive not to use notes. And the time?
10 minutes. Richard has served as the IT director at Covenant Seminary for 12 years and has recently earned a project management professional certification. He's married and has 4 wonderful children, and as you will hear in a moment, at least 1 awesome brother. He's asking for 10 minutes. The title of his speech is Congratulations, You've Been Selected. Please welcome Richard Hires.
Congratulations, you've been selected to receive an all-expense-paid cruise. Yes, you and 1 friend will spend 7 exciting days traveling from beautiful Oahu, Hawaii to San Diego, California. Have y'all received this offer before? If you're like me, you've probably received it a lot of times. You probably have an inbox full of this kind of thing. And it's pretty exciting to get this kind of offer, isn't it? Almost as exciting as the one I got from General Sahib from Nigeria. He wants to give me $1 million. So. Well, despite how suspect these kind of offers can be, I decided I was going to take this offer. And the reason I was going to take it is because it wasn't this kind of a cruise. Instead, it was from a legitimate source. It was from the U.S. Navy. The tour guide was my brother, Lieutenant Commander Stephen Hires, and the cruise was on the USS John C. Stennis. Nice. So you can see why I decided to take this cruise. So the offer that my brother had given me was for what the Navy calls a Tiger cruise. I wasn't able to determine how long they've been doing these cruises or what the significance of Tiger is, but what a Tiger cruise is an opportunity for friends and family of sailors to join them on their ships and see what life is like when they're out to sea. Now, there are some restrictions about who can go. You have to be at least 8 years old. You have to be in good health. You can't be a significant other of the sailor, no husbands, wives, boyfriends, girlfriends. Otherwise, my brother, who had spent 7 months on deployment, probably would have invited his wife, whom he hadn't seen in 7 months. So instead, he was stuck looking at my ugly mug for 7 days. My dad and I, we both went. So as I said, he'd been out to sea for 7 months, and they had been deployed in the Persian Gulf. You may recall the news from that time. His ship, the Stennis, was in Iran, and Iran had threatened if they come back again, they're going to blow them to kingdom come. This was also the carrier that rescued Iranian fishermen from pirates. So, at the end of February 2012, my dad and I flew out to Oahu, Hawaii, and we joined my brother and his ship at Pearl Harbor. And from there, we traveled for 7 days to San Diego. Now, these carriers are amazing vessels. They're notable for their size and for their power. The Stennis is a Nimitz-class carrier. There are 10 of these in the U.S. fleet. And each one is over 1,000 feet in length. Okay, that is longer than 3 football fields put end to end. And it's almost as long as the Empire State Building is tall. A big ship. In fact, it's 4.5 acres of sovereign U.S. territory. Mobile sovereign U.S. territory. These carriers are the president's 911 service. When there's an emergency in the world, he's probably going to call the carriers to go and fix it. And that's because each one of these vessels has more military power than 70% of the nations in the world. Each one carries approximately 90 combat aircraft. Each one is accompanied by 6 other warships and a submarine. It's called a strike group. So it's really an amazing, amazing force in the world. And it's even more amazing when you compare it to other nations. You think of China, the other great superpower. They've just commissioned their first carrier. The United States has 10 of these. So it obviously will take a lot of work, a lot of effort to make one of these ships run. Each one of these ships has approximately 6,000 crew and air crew. It's like a little floating city. And like any floating city, you have doctors, lawyers, you have dentists, you have pastors, there are stores, there are laundromats, there are gyms, there's an airport, go figure, aircraft carrier with an airport. In fact, these carriers are probably the busiest airports in the world and the most dangerous. And then of course you want everyone to have a nice haircut. So there's a barbershop as well. And that's me getting my haircut on the carrier. So, amazing ships, amazing ships. In addition to this, just to being amazed by the ships, they did provide us with a lot of activities to do while we were on board. They had lots of tours for us to do. We toured almost every part of the ship, from the forecastle to the fantail, that's stem to stern, from the control tower down to the brig. Some of the areas they didn't let us tour, things like the nuclear reactors. For some reason, I don't know why they wouldn't let us go down there. But I wasn't complaining. I didn't want to come out glowing. They had air shows that they did for us. They had sea power shows that they did for us. A lot of fun activities. And in the evenings, they had a band who was on board. They would show movies in the evenings. They would also have talent shows. They did all these activities in the cavernous hangar deck, which is below the flight deck. So lots of activities to do. But by far the most exciting part of this tour for my dad and I was the opportunity to see my brother in action. He'd been out to sea for 7 months doing the same job over and over. For him it had become very monotonous, but for my dad and I it was very exciting. And the reason is because his job was that of a shooter. There are several shooters on board, and if you can imagine from the name, the shooter's job is to launch the aircraft off the carrier. And then they're also responsible for bringing them back on the carrier safely. So what I'd like to do is show you real quickly a couple of videos of my brother in action. As I said, he's a shooter. A lot of times the shooters would do their job, would launch the aircraft from what's called the bubble. And this is a little control room that would raise up out of the deck. You can see here it's about eye level. So in this video, you'll see my brother right here. He's in the yellow. You'll see him going over a few final checks before he pushes the red button. And this, through the window, you see that's an F-18 Hornet, and that's going to be launched. So it's pretty amazing. You're almost under these as they launch. So it's pretty adrenaline flowing and very exciting. Now this video, this quick video, this Hornet that you see out over the ocean is going to be landing. As the camera pans, you'll see my brother's, the top of my brother's head. And if you look carefully, you'll also see on the back of the F-18 a hook hanging down. That's the tail hook, which hooks onto the cables that are strung across the back of the ship, the back of the landing strip. And the hooks catch onto those. You'll also notice as it lands that the camera, that I get hit by some jet blast. And that's because these airplanes, when they land at full throttle. In case they miss all of those cables, they can take off again right away and come around for another pass. So let's see that. So it's a pretty quick stop for these jets, you can imagine. So that was my Tiger cruise. It was an exciting, once-in-a-lifetime trip. If you ever get an email offering you a cruise, before you hit delete, stop and make sure it's not a Tiger cruise. Because if you get one of these invitations, you've got to take it. You won't regret it. Thank you.